So yesterday, IGN did end up posting another video about Forza Horizon 6, and to be honest, guys, every video that I'm seeing about this game gets me so dang hyped up. I mean, seeing the entire customization deep dive, then we did end up seeing something about the Forza Edition cars in this, and on top of that, they talked about the garages. I will talk about that a bit later. But it really does look so dang dope, and also they talked about some of the new details of the vehicles as well, guys, so I did want to go over some of this as it honestly sounds pretty dang great and also improved from the previous games. So, is that always a win? But in the beginning of this, though, they talked about the last gen consoles on how we all do know they kind of hold things back. And to be real, I think with other racing games on the market or even other games in general, having them still releasing on last gen consoles, man, really is holding them back in ways they probably know, but they also know they have a pretty big fan base in those older consoles, so it kind of does give them like a rough situation there. But being able to go to the new consoles like, PS5, Xbox Series X, they're able to do even more in this game. And that is being shown in Forza Horizon 6 so much. And to be honest, it gets me so dang excited. But besides all of that, though, I did briefly want to talk about some of this stuff, guys. So they were talking about the headlights and also the taillights on the vehicles, on how they basically have a new refraction base shader on them, pretty much giving them a more authentic look, but also like a feel as well. And to be honest, I do like small details like that. We can all agree that basically every racing game nowadays probably uses their older, game type of vehicle models in them. So we could probably agree that some of the old cars in games nowadays probably need to be remodeled. If they're using the same one, they might tweak some stuff. But seeing this, though, does make me really happy that it's the small things like the headlights and taillights that you really might notice. So that's definitely a big plus there. They also talked about the window decals on how, this might sound kind of dumb to some things, but the thing is, though, a lot of players wanted window decals on their vehicles, so they did end up finally adding this, which again, they talked about this in the other reveal. They did end up showing this on some of the vehicles, and I think it's pretty dope. I might even see if you could do like a custom type of sticker on your window, and I might put like my YouTube tag or, some other stuff on there as well. So that's pretty dope. I do like it. What's kind of wild is they did talk about how they had to go through each car for this in order to add it. So we could probably imagine the work going through 500 something cars, even though it's probably like 7 to 800 with the cars we don't even know about coming to the game yet, if you know what I'm saying. Keep in mind, though, they also mentioned the more you progress through the entire campaign, you will also get more of these type of like sticker things and other unlocks for the windows. So definitely looking forward to that. The next part they talked about, though, is the Forza Aero. Guys, I know this is a pretty interesting subject with everybody, but there is something I have to admit here with the entire customization. I do think this is a really great improvement, but I would probably say players might have been expecting, a bunch of different splitters and all kinds of customization, which from the looks of it, it doesn't seem to be the case. The one really cool part, though, is they did actually design the canyards and also the splitters, so they will be fitting those specific cars now instead of, being like a generic looking splitter on every car or something. So every car will have a splitter that is now fitted to each vehicle, which is pretty dope. So you can't expect that with over 500 vehicles to at least have some items that do fit it. But I gotta admit, guys, basically no game on the entire market when it comes to racing, I'm saying, by the way, has the customization levels of, let's just say, Need for Speed. Need for Speed has always been on top, I'd say, with customization. I would also say Midnight Club, but that game's from, what, 17 years ago? So it's a little bit different. But you can also change the steering wheels and the dials and all kinds of crazy stuff in that game, which I think the only game you could currently do that in right now is most likely GTA, at least similar, which funny part is that's still Rockstar Games there. But I think people are probably expecting Need for Speed level customization. And the thing is, this game has a lot more cars in it. Need for Speed has like 120 cars. They really can hone down and like focus on those cars when they were doing customization. You know what I'm saying? And every car in Heat, Need for Speed Unbound is very customizable and different things. So I probably think that's what people were expecting. But the thing I have to admit though is Forza has so many more cars than basically all the other games. So I'm guessing the customization aspect is probably going to be a tad disappointing, but it's also because of look at the amount of cars in the game, though. The other part of that, though, is a lot of people might be like, well, Motorfest has the best customization or it's better. And the funny part is a lot of the cars in Motorfest, Hyper, some of the other cars have literally no customization whatsoever. And a lot of the old customization options you can add to the vehicles or from the Crew 2 and some of them guys are extremely ugly, or I can even admit a lot of them are extremely ugly. So I guess you really can't win either way, dude. I mean, you're kind of stuck either way when looking at these games. But the one thing is, they also said you can now paint different things on the said spoilers and all that. You could do different paint jobs on them, different materials. Sounds very cool. They also talked about how you'll be able to paint the hooks on the vehicles as well, so it's not going to stay red, which I could see that fitting different livery builds or different types. So that's pretty dope. They also said they did end up updating and also adding some of the new materials as well to the game. So that way you can, go in and change some different things that players did want, the color wise and all that. And also you can favorite them and it'd be easier to use when doing livery. So again, some nice things are being added there. And the other thing they talked about when it does come to customization does get me pretty hyped up, is I was kind of wanting this in Forza Horizon 5, or at least hoping for it. They are adding over 100 new wheels to the game, and you will have OEM ones and also, different brands and all that, guys. Definitely really exciting, because 100 wheels is a lot, bro. Some of the other games have barely any wheels, and Forza already had a good amount. And now we will have 100 more wheels, bro. That it just sounds awesome to me. I'm happy about that. And obviously, you could do different wheels in front and back, which I'm sure people did end up saying that. They also mentioned with the Kai cars, though, there will be multiple motorcycle engine swaps for those, which honestly, dude, sounds kind of wild to me. I can already imagine some of the motors I will be putting in some of these cars. As they did say, some of them will have some crazy RPMs because, motorcycle engines, at least the inline fours, twins, I can get into all that and be like a little mechanic nerd here, or, talk about that because I am a bike guy myself. But the inline four motors, those rev to like 15,000, 16,000 RPM. Some of them, 13 to 16 would be a good range. So hearing a car redline to like 13 to 14,000 RPMs, dude, it's going to be so wild. I can't wait to try that. They also talked about how the visual design of the tires and all that and the tread or sidewalls are going to be different now and also better, which is something I do like, small pieces of detail like that. The next part, guys, they talked about the Forza Edition cars in Forza Horizon 6 and how they kind of showed some of that at the end of Forza Horizon 5 with the Viper and also that crazy looking retro mod style Camaro thing, on how they kind of went all out with those. But we will also see that way more in Forza Horizon 6, which really does get me hyped up. And they did mention you will be able to find a few of these Forza Edition cars apparently around the map as aftermarket ones. So I am wondering if they're early on, or are they farther into the campaign, which some of them probably are. We'll definitely have to drive around and keep an eye out for those. One thing they mentioned is the plate on the back of those cars is a Mount Fuji number plate, and it also does glow in the dark, so that's pretty dang dope. And the new cars will also have perks tied to different things like the time attacks and the newer stuff you'll see in 6, which I'm sure players probably did want to know about. They were then talking about the overall detail that you will see in the Forza Edition cars, which honestly, guys, from the Miata that we did end up seeing, they did also show another car I'll talk about here in a second, which is the S Cargo thing. Looks hilarious, but you can't see the details of the insane stuff they did to these cars. For example, in the Miata, they talked about the rivets on the arches or the metal and the handles and all that is a little bit different. They talked about the welding on it and different things. So the cars will have a ton of detail to them that really will set them apart from the regular cars, which honestly gets me really excited. And the other thing I wanted to mention here, by the way, is they said, which they also talked about the Mazda RX-3, as I mentioned before as well, that car will also be in there. They were trying to keep the retro style, older style in line with that car, so it doesn't look as crazy as something like, the S Cargo, which again, I'll talk about that in a second, or the Miata. But that car still looks very cool to me. But what did catch my eye is they did mention with the Miata, though, and also the other Forza Edition cars, you could still change things on those now, which is pretty dang dope. For example, they said there will be more Forza Aero for the Miata instead of it just being as it is. It comes as like a drag type of car, but you can change the tires on it, put the splitter, and make it like a time attack monster, which sounds pretty dope to me. You could change the liveries and the wheels on something like the RX-3. So I do like the fact that you can change the Forza Edition cars. They're not fully locked. I do like the idea of that. Now, the other car they did talk about, though, was the Forza Edition S Cargo, guys. This thing looks absolutely hilarious and also very cool because you will notice on the front of it, that the turbo is basically sticking out where the headlight would go, which is hilarious. But one thing I did like is they also talked about the detail. This car doesn't look just crazy on the outside. No, the entire car is basically designed as, they were saying these Forza Edition cars have some insane overall detail, and you could really see that with this one. You will notice that it's basically a single seat race car. It has like the shifter, really nice bucket looking racy seat. They open the back of it up, and you'll also see the motor in the back as well, which I think they said that was a V6, and obviously it's a turbo because of the big turbo on the hood. You can also take the hood part off and see the detail of the turbo over there as well, which is something I really do like, guys. I personally can't wait to mess around with these Forza Edition cars and really see how some of them are. I can tell y'all right now that S Cargo, bro, I will be driving that thing a good amount. The final thing they did talk about, though, was the garages, and I gotta admit, I think this is a really dope feature to see in Forza, and we all do know, basically, no other racing game at the moment really has this. I wish the Crew had it. We all do know the Crew 2 had it, but, doesn't have it in Motorfest. We all know Test Drive is getting the ability to have the customized houses, hopefully this sometime this year, but that's obviously later on. So seeing this in Forza is honestly really cool. And seeing some of the comments and all that of saying this, and this, or why can't we do that, guys? I mean, I understand, but also keep in mind the fact that Forza even has the garages. We all do know a lot of players have been wanting this. I did see the garages in Forza Horizon 4 and 5, and even I thought having a customized garage would be so dope. And now we'll be able to do it. In Forza Horizon 6, they mentioned how there's 8 houses that you can buy. And also keep in mind, once you are progressing through the entire campaign, you will be able to store more cars in the garages. So you probably only get a few in that garage until you get farther into it, which does make a lot of sense. They were talking about how one car is basically your Forza Vista type of car where you can, go around it like you would outside in Forza Horizon 5 when viewing a car or something. Go around it, customize it, do all that stuff. And then the other cars are basically static models that sit there, which, you know what, man, I'm okay with that. You know what I'm saying? I'm okay with that. I wasn't expecting the crazy amount of detail that we had in like Grand Theft Auto with this, but I feel like this is a great step in the right direction with the garages, so I'm definitely open to it. They were also talking about how obviously the people were wondering about this, but if you are looking and maybe you don't want to customize your garage or maybe you don't feel like it, you could go in and download somebody else's. You can also share them. There'll be codes for other garages and upgrades and all that stuff that people did, which I honestly think is pretty dope. They did say there's no like liveries or background type of upgrades you could do toward the garages, at least not yet. I could see something like that maybe coming out in the future. If you're wondering, I mean the custom upgrades you see in like Grand Theft Auto on like the background of your garage itself. But the thing is, though, guys, they were showing how you can add different props. It said like 100 and different things you can add to. You could place where you want your cars in the garage as well, which is something I really like about it. You can have like a couch there with your car sitting there next to it or something like that. You can have the other car next to it and then show where you want to put the cars, put the props in different areas of how you actually want to set yours up. So I'm excited to see how players might end up setting up each garage. I mean, one thing I was thinking about is we will have 8 of these houses, right? So we'll be able to customize them and change things. They did show the interior of some of these are also pretty different. At the end of the video, they had a really cool looking garage type of area, guys. So I'm really interested in that. It's probably one of the houses or how that garage looks is my guess. But either way, though, I do like the fact of how you can change things around. I'll probably make all of my houses look different in some way of the layouts or something in them, which I think will be very dope. They said you can also kind of go a little bit crazy with how you place stuff. You can go into the ground with it. You can like have part of it into the wall or, just kind of be weird or crazy with how you want to customize it, which I think is really dope. I really do like this fact. Now, the one thing I can't confirm I'm not sure on is if you can walk around the garage. It looked like from one of the placements they had like the footprints in it. So maybe you could walk up to that and change, or maybe you could teleport to it. Honestly, dude, I have no clue. But they did have photos of you showing your character in there and looking around or something that wasn't photo mode either. So I am kind of wondering because the one thing they had where they were showing him in the background with the garage and the car, it said photo mode in the bottom to press that. So I'm wondering if you could back out and maybe walk around the garage. I'm not sure. But either way, though, it is really cool. And I think having the garage customization is dope. And I think if you really can walk around these garages, guys, that'll be like an icing on the cake type of thing. As a lot of players I was noticing were like, can we please walk around the car meets and, walk around and all that stuff. And it is, I get it, but keep in mind, guys, this is not Grand Theft Auto. I understand they'd love to be able to do that. I think you can be in like drone mode or something when you're at the car meets, but that was like, okay, well, I think that's fine. I mean, being able to walk around the entire car meet probably has a bunch of other challenges when it comes to rendering and other things in the game and other work they'd have to do when they're probably really trying to focus on the cars and the different things in the game this time and all that. So I honestly, dude, I have no clue. I'm kind of just yapping right now on what I think about that stuff. But either way, though, having houses you can customize in this is going to be game changing because, again, pretty much no racing game has this at all. So it might make other racing games finally add houses and different things you can't customize because I am really happy to see this and being able to move things around and set cars where you want them. It's dope, dude. I'm super hyped for this. I think it's awesome. Do let me know what y'all think in the comments below. To be real, I could keep yapping about the Forza Edition cars and the upgrades and all that stuff and 100 new wheels, but I do want to know what y'all think in the comments below. I would say the garage thing is very cool, and the funny part is we haven't seen anything about the estate yet, guys, so keep that in mind as well. That's a whole separate thing that you can also build, customize, and do other things with. So I'm hoping they have a video on that maybe next month, or they show something on it, or maybe they save it. I have no idea. But either way, though, do let me know your thoughts on this in the comments below. What are you the most excited for, guys? Let me know what you think about the garages and the customization, all that stuff in the comments below. I also want to admit something real quick. People really do want a ton of customization, but guys, this is not Need for Speed. Like, Need for Speed level of customization, I just don't ever see that happening in Forza. And the funny part is, they probably can't even do that because of licensing.